All right. Welcome back to J.O.D. Live. I'm Kizzy Kid, the J.O.D. boss Don, your host with the most, and I'm here with some near, dear friends and colleagues of mine. This is a very special episode. We've been in talks about this for like months, and it's finally here. I'm very proud of this one. This is all what you see in front of you is all black male social workers, therapists, psychologists from all different parts of the country, world, and we've all come together. So we're here to, just sit there and speak. This is a very special episode. I'm very happy for this one. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves one at a time. Whoever wants to go first.
Uh, I'll go first. My name is
Brother
Brent.
Brent.
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm a therapist working in private practice, and I work with a vast group of youth and adults. And yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
I'm Alfonso, Chicago born and raised. Currently living in Greater Boston. Behavioral health social worker by day, community organizer by night.
Go ahead, Brother Kilo.
All right, my name is Kishore. I'm a LCSWA, LCAS-A. I work as a licensed counselor in a methadone clinic, and I also facilitate a Black men's group called Circle of Hope in Durham, North Carolina.
Mr. Jones.
All right, trying to find my mute button. My name is Victor Jones. I am in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. Professionally, I am a licensed clinical social worker, licensed clinical addiction specialist with about 30 years experience. Also, a trauma and resilience educator and coach, which has been a very important part of my own healing and wellness and getting in contact with myself as a human being and as a black man. So that's uh that's the short of it.
Brother Cletus.
Um, Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cletus Sanders. I'm from Selma, North Carolina. Um, these guys I'm falling behind. They got these degrees and accolades, but I'm a feeling with mine, man. I am a 20-year pharmaceutical vet. I work for Griffles. I'm a coordinator out there. I'm a mentor. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I also own my own nonprofit, which we do community work in and out. And one of my best enjoyments of life is I am a football coach for my old alma mater. So I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you, Brother Cletus, too. Jonathan Brunson. I am a LCSW, LCAS Renew. I'm trauma focused certified. And like Mr. Jones, I'm a resilience trainer. We talk about trauma in schools and classrooms. Man, literally of many hats. So I also enjoy being just in my community as well. Like Alfonso, I'm an advocate, community oriented, and just dedicated to uplifting us, especially our young black boys. And from small town Wilson, Wide Awake, North Carolina.
Mhm.
Brother Isaiah.
Okay, so I am Isaiah. I am a MSW, soon to be LSW, hopefully one day LCSW. I am also CEO and president of J.O.D, aka Jersey's Own Dynasty. Jersey's Own Dynasty. I'm also currently in NJ. I have, and this is the J.O.D live show. So, by the way, yeah, and my focus is to one day go into private practice and help young black men is going to be my main focus. Adolescents and adults as well. And yeah, this is the show. This is called the JLD Live Podcast, by the way. This will be episode 54. We have please go on Spotify and go look. We actually just broke into all people all over the world were here. We just actually broke into the Netherlands like last week for the
Really?
first time. So you're gonna definitely be heard, and I think it's wonderful. And thank you all of you for coming and participating in this. It means a lot. You know, it means a lot, especially as I wanted to do this episode specifically because, you know, as Black male therapists or mental health counselors, like, you know, we're very small niche to the field, but I feel like we make such an impact, and there's such a need for us, and a lot of people wish that they knew, but now they know. You know, don't be surprised if you get hit up after this and they ask you for services, but but we're here, and I'm glad and happy that every single last one of you came, and appreciate every single last one of you. Now, with that all being said, I want to ask and start with, why did you get into social work, psychology, et cetera, and where did you go to school, if you don't mind, like, sharing? All right.
Then Brother Cletus, with Isaiah question, that'll be you at community work. Yes, sir. Because you a community worker too.
Oh yeah,
Go.
shout out to the pharmacist too. That was
Yeah, shout out to the
that's
pharmacist.
really dope. That's really
We
dope.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So, Brother Brandon, we'll go around with those. You first, and we go like that. And also, all of us, go ahead, Brother Brandon. You first, sir.
Right. So let's see. Why did I get into the field? So around 2010, I began mentoring with big brothers and big sisters. And the first little brother that I mentored, he was he was an immense challenge for me to work with, but I found that I loved it, you know, going through all the ups and downs. Um, but as I navigated through that journey working with that young man, I was like, man, I want to know how he got here. And trying to um answer that question. And at that time, I'm unashamed to say I was a fixer. I was trying to fix the problems, but I learned over time. First of all, he wasn't broken. That's the first thing that I have grown to learn. And then in addition to that, I'm like, no, it's not necessarily about fixing the problem. It's about addressing the problem. Like, where did these issues come from? So that helped me to kind of walk this journey toward becoming a clinician. And so I pursued my social work degree from the Northern Kentucky University. I got my undergrad and graduate degrees from there, and I am currently working in the field as I stated previously. So yeah, that's how my journey began.
Thank you, Brother Brandon. I go next with order. So, myself, I went to NC State University, as I was saying. I majored in law. I was planning to be, I don't know who's seen Law Abiding Citizen. I plan to be like Jamie Foxx, the attorney, you know, the money, the family. That's how I saw it initially. And I fell out of love with it my junior year. But we all know how it was. I stayed in it because I was a junior with this major. So I went on and forcibly finished it. So I finished it, but I saw the notions of getting upset with people talking about grad school and law school, and I was like, where you gonna go, Jonathan? I started getting mad with that question, which showed me I'm not going the right way. So anyway, fast forward, I graduated at NC State in Raleigh, which we know is flooded with colleges. I was doing like all of us, look for jobs. And I had a brother, Chris, and Chris helped me. He said, hey, I could get you a job paying 10 an hour, helping a young Black kid. So I was like, always been passionate about Black boys, especially being an uncle with nephews. So I got into it, and paraprofessional, did that for some years. And the importance of mentoring. I had brother Lenny, who graduated from state. He was like, you a social worker. So everybody heard I talk. We talked for about 3 hours fussing, but like this. I'm not a social worker. You're a social worker. You're a social. So he educated me like, Jonathan, what you do, the community, helping people, helping kids, you are a social worker. So I started educating myself. And eventually, after years in the field, I applied to do my MSW at East Carolina University. So that's how I ended up in the field. Passion and community work, like Brother Alfonso. Brother Keyshaw.
All right, all right. So my name is Kishore. I did undergrad in North Carolina State. Got my bachelor's in sociology. There you go, Wolfpack represent. So after undergrad, I started driving trucks. And to be honest, I thought that was going to be the rest of my life. But I found that through those years, I started having occurrences with people who are most in need, like even with church. My church did a lot of outreach at the time, with homeless population, jail, women and children. So to be honest, over time, God just put it in my heart to say, hey, start helping people. So I started my grad school career at University of New England up in Massachusetts. I graduated with an MSW in social work. So I was doing grad school and driving trucks at the same time. So it was a grind. And so I started working with people who are addicted to drugs. I started working with a substance abuse population. So I started with the internship at Southlight back in 2019. They offered me a position, been working there. So I transitioned over to BART in Durham, worked there for a little bit, and now I'm working in the Morris Clinics up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I also do outpatient therapy as well on an independent basis. And I'm also a facilitator of a Black men's group called Circle of Hope. And with this group, there's Black men that come together. They discuss intimate issues that affect Black men and parenting.
Thank you, Brother Kishore. Yes, sir. Mr. Jones.
All right, I guess I'm up next. So how did I get into this field? Well, I started out my educational part actually started in computer science. Went to NC State for computer science because my brothers had become computer scientists and programmers. My problem was that even though I enjoyed learning new things, once the newness wore off, I stopped going to class. So I had to acknowledge that was not my thing. If I couldn't even make it to class, and but someone asked me a question, which was, what would you do if money were not an option? And I thought about the thing that I enjoyed doing the most, which was listening to people talk about what moved them, talk about what was bothering them, and problem solving. And at that time, I considered myself a fixer too. Ooh, boy. But anyway, but as I started learning about history, and one of the great things about the even the social work program at NC State was that history was such a big part of their program. And so as I got into history and into anthropology, started seeing how people's problems in this country are so much about the structure of our society. So it's like our society is making us sick. And I'm sorry, my dog. Can you hear my dog barking? No, you guys are okay?
Pretty good.
Okay.
You're good.
I apologize. You okay?
We were good.
We're
Yes,
good.
sir.
Okay, I apologize for that. So I kind of walked into social work. And when I got into social work, my grades went up, y'all. My grades went up. I mean, I was in heaven. I was in heaven. And I had some wonderful teachers, but again, it's the historical component. But let me say this, it was not until I got into social work that I started learning about Black history. And over the years, I have become more and more aware of how the history of America really makes us sick, because I grew up in Chavis Heights, a housing project. My mom, my dad, my neighbors, the people all around me were some of the most intelligent people you would ever come across. I mean, brilliant people, sharp minds, amazing minds, but still trapped in a housing project. And we see that throughout Raleigh. So not to go too long with my introduction, that was how I got into mental health, was the curiosity about what was holding us back and how was it affecting us. And in the last 5 years especially, I've really gotten into how the emotional how our emotional being, how our psychological being is affected by society, and how that affects our bodies, and how it's actually how we manage our nervous system that can give us so much more capacity to heal. But without knowing about our nervous system, we can find ourselves fighting and fighting and fighting every moment of every day of our lives and not knowing what we're fighting against and literally burning out. So yes, black men do commit suicide more and more often. Yes, black people are dying more earlier than our European counterparts, and it goes on and on. So that's a big part of the wonder and the thrill that I have about the work today is the connection of understanding how the body and the brain are connected, that they're really not separated. And moving with that information that keeps me curious and I'm learning all the time. So that's that's what got me into the work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was fascinating.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you, sir. And his short too, Brother Alfonso.
So I feel like this narrative changes every time I get asked the question of why I came to this field. But I think the core of it is I didn't see enough people fighting for us. Growing up in the city of Chicago, I was always curious about who is at the table and making decisions. I was I guess you could say I started very macro oriented. Like there's these programs, so like Upward Bound, other names is blanking me at the moment, but program like Upward Bound, other resource in the area for young black boys. You didn't know about it unless you know somebody in there. And so it felt exclusive, felt very secretive, and I I was very macro oriented, and I want to be the person at the table making a decision of bringing this resource to this urban community. And so I ran with that for a long time until I got to college. I did my undergraduate at Denison University in Central Ohio, and less so the academics. What shaped my undergraduate experience was service. I did a lot of volunteering, exploring issues of poverty, urban education, homelessness, and and as much as I understand and learning about these systems, these historical pieces, why these are in place, as Brother Jones mentioned, I was pulled more towards the individual narrative of these individuals navigating these systems. There was one experience in particular and during undergraduate that left an impact on me. Every other Friday, the volunteer organization I was part of would go and serve meals to all men shelter. And one Friday, I went there by myself because I just was just to have the volunteers. And after warming up the meals, I just go out into the area and just sat down with one of the individuals. So like just chatting up with them. And this individual, I want to say he was probably in the 60s, maybe 70s, and expressed a desire of going back to school, get a degree of some sort, because he still had that desire, and he still wanted to make an impact on the community. And it was that narrative that led me to these other questions. Okay, why haven't that has happened yet? I mean, you're here in the shelter, so that's also part of the experience. But it just got me thinking about what other systemic environmental barriers is in place that is impeding people from being their best selves. And so I ran that experience. And once I graduated, my degree is in political science. And I actually had no clue what I want to do with that degree. So I took a fellowship year, and working with adolescents, urban adolescents, and even got more. I think that fellowship year was the the foundation of me going into social work. Hearing an individual's narrative, their understanding of their reality, and not what these labels that people put on them. There's a lot of things going on outside of these four walls of the school that people don't understand. And just sitting down and having a conversation with them, bringing that emphatic connection back to working with individuals. And so I used that experience going into social work, and ever since coming to the field, I've been clinical. Clinical social work and working with individuals on both in a systemic level, but also I'm more curious about your narrative, how you understand your experience, and going in there with a strength-based perspective, because a lot of individuals feel defeated as they navigate these systems. But there's aspects of your story, your history, that shows resilience and you actually getting over humps, obstacles. I want to hear that. I want to support you with that. And that's been my path in social work.
Thank you, Brother Alfonso. Love it. Thank you for that, Pat. Inner City, Chicago, brother. Brother Isaiah.
Okay, so what got me into social work is honestly a mentor. I've always but I've been into psychology and stuff since I'll say like 13, 14. I've at the typical stuff, helping people, giving people advice all the time. People come to me for advice, I still do to this day. Anyway, so like that particularly led me down the path, but a mentor really got me into social work and made me realize how much you could do in this field and how much of an impact that you can have. And then I went to school and got my bachelor's in social science in 2018, and then I got my master's in social work in 2021. And I've just been in love with it ever since. And now, like I said, making an impact everywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just really like the amount of helping that we can do, especially within our community, and helping like young brothers thing, because I'm 32, so seeing like the generation, so I'm millennial, so sitting the generation after me, like Gen Z and Alpha, and also people within my generation, and even the older generation too. Like now, I think mental health now, we're living in a time where mental health is now at the forefront. So I think we're needed now more than ever. And I'm just blessed to be able to have the tools and the responsibility and power to help in any way that I can, any way, shape, or form I can. Oh, by the way, everybody, say where you're from too. I don't know if y'all did that, but like, feel free to represent. You know.
Yeah, thank you for that, Isaiah. So after Brother Cletus and Miguel, you're right. So everybody shout it out. Yeah, thank you on that too, sir. And thank Isaiah for sharing yours.
Of course, of course. New Jersey, by the way. Jersey in the house.
Jersey.
732.
Shout out Red Man, you know? Brother Cletus.
How did I get in this field, man? Wow. I guess life. You know what I mean? Growing up, my mother didn't have it like that. So single mother, raised by a single mom, man. Seeing her struggled, and I would just want to, if I can touch that one kid that can make it, you know what I mean? That was my thing. You know, I might can't touch every last one of them, but I feel like if I could just touch one. So when I got older, man, and I just realized that I'm about like my man Isaiah. Like, you know, I felt like I was born to be a mentor. Like it was just me. That was just, you know, I'm a people person. I'm a people guy. I don't meet no strangers. I can identify the bad real quick. Like if I ain't vibing with you, I ain't vibing. So that's just me. Like, you know. So I think it's just more of a natural presence that came upon me in a older part of my life. I'm 45 myself. So I'm still in the game. I ain't completely washed up yet, but I'm making it. But
That's right.
He read that 30 something. If I can be back to 30 again, could Google the Moogle, boy, I tell you. But man, just being honest with you. I mean, that's what it is. When you raised up and by a single mom, I don't know how many was raised up by a single mom. but I had a strong background with grandparents that was, raised old school. So I had that in my life, a grandmother and grandfather that was there. But a lot of time my mom, she put that persona on, she can do it herself. I'm gonna be the mom and the dad. And, so when I look back at these kids now, man, I want to be that big brother in the community that you can call on, you can reach out to. I'm not gonna judge you, you know what I mean? I'm gonna look at you and try to um elevate you like I spoke before, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna keep knocking you down because we get enough of that growing up being black. You can't make it, you're not gonna make it. You know what I mean? You hear it all the time. So I just want to be a light to my community and knowing a kid, somebody that look like me and talk like me, act like me. You get no better feeling than that when you can relate. And that's one thing I learned. And it's being relatable. If you can't be relatable, I don't care what it is. You can be the pastor, you can be the judge, you can be the husband, the wife. You're not relatable. You're not gonna keep nobody in. You're not gonna keep them. So, being relatable where they can come to and being open is like one of the best feelings that you can ever do. So just giving back, going back to my roots. I wanted more for the community. I wanted more for the kids. Because growing up, my mom was making $4.15 an hour. So asking her for a haircut was like pulling hen's teeth. What? So so that's what I wanted, man. So, barbershop ministry, book set ministry. I try to do it all, man, for the kids. So that's one thing. Like I really touched with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Isaiah. That's real though. When you just got that feelings and you just can't do nothing with it. So yes, sir. That's one thing. Yep. And represent, like I said, North Carolina for everybody tuning in right here. All the NC State fans. I got love for you, but I bleed Tar Heels, baby. So I'm just sorry. It is what it is. But I know y'all sticking your heads and everything back there. But hey, heels all the way, baby. We going with them heels out here today. We going with them heels. Sorry, Jonathan.
Now you say you're a friend of me right now. You say
he's a minority today, so he gonna have to
yeah, he's safe right now with the social work zone.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna leave you out there, bro. I'm not gonna leave you out there. I graduated from state and in UNC Chapel Hill, so we got divided. I'm divided, so but I got love for both. I got love for both.
House divided,
House divided.
Yeah, brother Brandon, you safe. You're right in Cincinnati. You fall. You're right. And Alfonso. Brother Miguel, glad to see you, sir. Same with you. I don't know, Brother Miguel's still mobile right now, Brother Isaiah. Nah, I know we'll get to him if he was. I know he was being. Oh, there you go. Yes, sir. We see you.
What's going on, bro?
You're
All right.
Yeah, we can hear you. You good?
Okay. So I'm just arriving home. I'm still in the car, but I figured I'd stay in the car while I do this part for you guys. So Miguel, I'm from New Jersey. Good to see you guys. I've missed a couple of the sessions that you all have had. Just completed my first year of Morgan State University's doctoral program. I have been very busy. What brought me to social work? Never thought I'd be here doing social work. My undergraduate degree is in criminal justice. I always say social work chose me. I thought I was going to be busting doors down. I modeled my pursuit of education after my parents' careers in law enforcement and military. But busting down doors in the FBI is not what I'm doing currently. A lot of my professors were psychologists, and to see that a lot of them, although practitioners of social sciences, I was looking for more of the, what we see in that 30-minute, 60-minute episode of Criminal Minds. And when I saw that the field is deeper than that, I wanted to go beyond criminal justice. So what do I mean by social work choosing me? I'm also the product of a teenage pregnancy. So the odds being stacked up against me, my biological father incarcerated. So statistically speaking, by the age of 18, I was supposed to be a Black man who was also incarcerated because in a single parent household. Thank God that is not the story. I went on to pursue, higher education and had a great support system. My first master's is in substance abuse and addiction, and I should have listened to my professor in undergrad when she said, go for social work. She was a neuropsychologist, and she said, if you want to get your feet wet practicing, social work is the best way to go. Now that's coming from, I know sometimes we have our inside little friction with some of the other disciplines, but that was coming from a psychologist saying, go ahead and do social work because you can be out there practicing quicker than going to get, a PhD in this discipline. So went ahead, did my MSW, and realized that I've always done social work. I heard another brother say, when you're that friend or family member to lean on, you're doing part of what you're doing is social work. So when you're able to hold space for people and create that holding environment for your relatives, for friends, and they trust you with those things, when you are the local soup kitchen and shelter, that is the household I grew up in, where, we had generations living in a 3-bedroom house. But that's what I mean by social work choosing me. It is not a field that I grew up thinking I would be in. Actually completed my undergraduate studies not even knowing what social work was. So got out in the field and began working and doing, case management type of jobs. And my mother said, look at the job description of jobs that you want and look at the credentials that they're requiring. And if you want to, be in those positions, then what you need to go back to school for. So my first master's was not a license eligible degree. It's a master's in human services and addiction and recovery, the whole spectrum of addiction and recovery. So I was able to enroll and have some of that coursework count towards my MSW. And, so that led me on the path of, on paper, I have 2 master's degrees, but it was a blessing to have some of that credit from the first part of the journey count. So I did attend Rutgers University. Again, I know Isaiah, you're also, you 732 though. I'm a little further south in the 609.
609? I was going to say 609.
Yep, down there. But Rutgers, they've kind of taken over in Jersey. They got satellite campuses all over. So I've been all over, inside Jersey, outside of Jersey, and people know and understand the impact that Rutgers has had on social work. So really appreciative of the journey, and thank you guys.
Yeah, Rutgers, just to piggyback off what you said, Rutgers does have a really big impact. I went to Ramapo though. So I was more like North Jersey and everything like that. But Rutgers is really dope.
You way up north.
Oh yeah. It was worth it though. I love it. Shout out to Ramapo. Shout out to the whole RC and J Masters program.
That's real. And Miguel, thank you, brother, too. Powerful story, too. So as you're moving around, we here. So if you got to move out of the car, be mobile, we here, brother. We here. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Brother Isaiah, you had another question you had presented, or your chamber, we going through the other chambers yet?
Yeah, I mean we can go through the other changes. And I just wrote this one down, and I feel like it's relevant to the conversation that we were having earlier because some people said this. Being all that we're all in some way, shape, or form, like Black male therapists, what do you think is the biggest misconception that we have to deal with?
That's a good one.
I really just thought of that. The biggest misconception, or let's say the biggest expectation that comes with dealing with it, being like a Black male therapist.
I'll jump in here.
yeah. Guys, say what you can say.
Let's go, Morgan. Let's go, Morgan State. Let's go.
I think the biggest misconception is that we can work with any Black or brown person. So if I pose the question to the group, a lot of our caseloads probably are filled with Black and brown young men, being that we are told we're unicorns in this field. But just because I'm a Black man does not mean that I can relate to every Black and brown person, just because your agency does not have the staffing or the people that look like the community. Now we take on the task and we do it, and it's our job to do the work and make sure that they feel seen and heard. But just because I'm the only Black man at the agency does not mean that I completely know and understand what the Black and brown youth, the Black and brown adult, older population. I've worked with that population as well. I don't understand or know all of what there is to know about our people. That would be unrealistic.
Mm.
Very well said.
Well, that's strong
Yeah,
how you
let
said
me
it, Miguel.
run
Like
with that
Gemini.
too.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that was I'm glad you said that, because there is I don't know if the term is stereotyping or typecasting. I don't know. You
Both.
guys might
It's
have a
both.
better
It's both.
term for it.
Both.
But there is a pigeonholing and a reduction of who we are as caring, educated professionals and individuals. And so that idea that we're automatically the person to work with a Black male client, when as human beings I've had incredible connections with female clients, with Asian and um, um, Native American clients or Hispanic clients, and so there's the reduction of our humanity and putting us in a box and really underserving the public by reducing us. And I think that's something for us to be intentional about preparing for, so that we're ready to counter, to push back against that assumption that we're automatically the best client. I've got some Black male clients that I could work with that work fantastic with maybe a white female. It's cool. And I've seen people, we've all seen people come together across those lines. So we do have to push back against the reduction of our humanity, and really the humanity of our clients, reducing them to somebody's imagination of what a particular human being or a particular demographic is.
Oh,
I'm
thank
done.
you. No, thank you both for that. Oh wow, that's a great question. I know with me, what I see is misconception is that we're bulletproof, that we don't have feelings. So the irony, we supposed to feel for others, yet we can't feel for ourselves. It's like, okay, so I can relate to people, but in a women-dominated field, which I don't know, you all dealt with that office drama sometimes with women. I'm the referee slash, but I never have nowhere to go myself. So I have to go take walks outside the Bluetooth and call Mr. Jones, and he'll say that, call him, call others to relate, because I cannot share feelings. And yeah, so it's like misconception safety, that we're bulletproof. We could go in any environment, like Alfonso said, just go anywhere and we're safe. Whatever happens, we're gonna come out safe. So it's a lot of that too. That's why I get it from it too. A lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about especially our millions, and we don't get tired. That's the last one. We robots. We don't never get tired, gentlemen. We just work endlessly, and we don't have no life. We just work. So that's my share.
If I can add to that, I'm glad you brought that up, Jonathan, because I also feel that that misconception of being this superhuman. The notion I get in a lot of my environments, get the social worker to do it. Get the social worker to do that. But that's not my role. That's not my responsibility. Like I am here with a very particular task. And just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean to put it on the social worker. So I just want to add that piece to this superhuman aspect. Us not having an outlet, us not even knowing where to, I guess where to start, where to bring up some of these issues because we're everyone above us. It's like, well, but you're training this, or you allegedly supposed to know how to do this. But again, that's not my responsibility. Being a social worker in this environment.
Mm. And then adding on your point, Alfonso, too, before the next, Miguel said a strong thing adding to you in the chat said other disciplines want to be the social worker until it's time to be the social worker. Wow, that's strong right there too. And I say that to the hostile client. And I know Isaiah, but like we always can handle every hostile client. So just send to Alfonso. They trying to kick everybody, stab you in the eye. Alfonso got it. Jonathan got it. Jones got it. So yeah, we could handle all the hostile clients. No, that's a strong Miguel. Yeah, Alfonso. Yeah. What you like to add, Brother Brandon? Keyshawn, Brother Jones, Isaiah, Brother Brandon. What you like to add?
I'm actually thinking about this question, and I think I can answer. It may not directly hit for this question, but I think that for myself, um, I want to say I struggle, and I use that word loosely. Um, I focus on being relatable, as was stated earlier. Relatability versus being clinical, right? Because I don't ever want to be just a textbook. I don't want to be like, utilizing jargon in the middle of a session, and relying on that. So I always say, hey, I may not totally utilize CBT, but I use G.O.D. Meaning that, hey, I use the core components that God has put inside of me to, again, be relatable and therefore be reliable to my clients. So I think that's something that, again, I use that word struggle very loosely because I'm like, hey, if the expectation is that I'm clinical, and hey, I don't mind delving into the clinical aspects, but the first things first is I want to be a genuine, heartfelt clinician to that individual, speaking to what issues that they are walking through. So, yeah.
I love it, Brother Brandon. I love it. That's powerful. Mr. Jones, Keyshawn, Brother Isaiah, anything? Well, I think only if you ought to add, Mr. Jones, yeah, anything you add into that, or do you already add yours?
Well, I'll just add that you have to keep in mind I'm aware that our agencies are not necessarily trauma informed, and we are sometimes asked to do things that are actually um, tainted with bias, whether that be a racial bias or a gender bias or sexuality bias. So even though we are social workers or we're in a helping field, the agency that is employing us may not have a historically um, sensitive or historically informed view of its role in the community. And when I say of his role, I'm talking not only of his expectation, but also of his impact. It may be actually doing more harm than good because it's not informed of the impact of trauma, how it shows up in our bodies, in our um, relationships, in our politics, throughout our hospital. So we could definitely consider that's a difficult part of this work, and it shows up in our bodies as well, which is why it's so important that we as professionals we're really investing in our knowledge of our own health and well-being, so that we're not being made sick by the work that we're doing. Not by and I'm not saying the clients that we're serving. I'm saying the way that we have been taught to work can make us sick. Our clients, I love our clients, but the way we're taught to work is not really good for us sometimes.
Thanks for that. Yes, sir. Love it. Thanks for that. Brother Kishore, I'm not sure you were still on, Kishore, moving around. Let's make sure you had your insight, Brother Kishore.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. My wife just called as soon as he got done. So what I really wanted to add is we're not a product of our culture. And what I mean by that is not every black man it has a criminal background. Not every black man is from the hood or a single parent household. And I feel like this profession, this field tends to play into that because um like we do have a large majority of us represented single parent households, rapper things like that. So it's like we almost have to like redefine what this profession is for ourselves. And of course, with the gatekeepers being white women, it's almost like we have to not play into this slave master mentality in order to like progress in the field.
That's strong. Thank you, Brother Keisha. That's strong. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very much so.
Brother Isaiah, did you add yours?
Yeah, to add into that, everything that everybody said, like, biggest misconception, like, I forgot which one of us said it, but like being told like you're like an anomaly, you're like gold in this field, and then I started hearing those things once I got into internship, and I didn't even know that that was like a thing until it was first said to me. I remember being so put aback. And so like, huh? But like this is just like I'm just doing this because I want to do it. I didn't know that that was like a thing. And they would also say like no pressure, added on to that. And but then you felt pressure, and then like even after like graduation, dealing with other clients and stuff like that, that I think it's there, especially if you get like a clientele where there is like another black person, black male, black woman, or you get the I've had the black mother or father sitting there and saying like I want out of all the clinicians who are also just as equally as qualified and like in their skills, I want you specifically because you were automatically going to connect. And I think I forgot it was Brother Jones that said like, yo, I connected with people that I've dealt with some clients who are black that like I was like, oh, this is just not going to work. But then they go deal with the other clinician who's of another race and everything, and they connect just fine. Like it's just like an added stereotype and pressure that's definitely there that we definitely come up against. But I think one of the reasons why it's put on us per se is because, um, as they like to say, black girls have black girl magic. I like to call it for us men. I like to for it to just call it, our black swag and our ability of excellence, being able to like sit there and push through and do it because the expectations are so high, and a lot of the times, I'll say majority of the time even, we go beyond those expectations. And we do hit those like levels, and it seemed as like incredible because they weren't particularly expecting us to sit there and even get there in the first place, you know, with certain aspects and things that we do. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that like like we've all said that we're not human, and I think it's a huge misconception. But I think we're fighting against it, and that's one of the reasons why I did this, so people know. Because I'm sure that you all get your personal questions, but I get questions all the time about it. People in my DMs asking for help, et cetera,
Oh,
et
yeah.
cetera.
Facebook Messenger. Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, Snapchat. We can go down the list. I got a whole list at this point, but it's all good, because that actually is a good way. We went through everybody, right? Pretty much.
So,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. So like we can go into my next segment and everything like that because when you're dealing with all of this stuff, it causes this thing called burnout. So, what is the best way to sit there and fight against and prevent burnout? And if it does happen, what do you do about it? That's our next topic.
Burnout. Wow. Super topic. So you say, Isaiah, you posing out there, what do we do to prevent it
Prevent it when
/
it
deal
shows
with
up.
it?
Yeah,
Shows
burnout in
up.
general. Just burnout in general. Like, because it happens. It's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that I believe happens to everybody, but especially in our field, it's something that, like, at least in my personal opinion, is not particularly talked about. Like, everybody experiences it, but nobody talks about how they deal with it or how to sit there and deal with it. So I think all of those people watching this who are gonna watch this like episode or listen, and just for us in general, how do you deal with burnout? What's a good
So
way to deal with it?
Isaiah, sorry to interrupt. Let me can we rewind for the listeners and for all
Mhm.
of us too to ask everybody, Miguel, you all up here, what is burnout? So can we start there too? Like, what's
I
everybody's
was
perception about what is burnout?
took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say the same thing. Go.
Good. What everybody had to put, is that right? So, Miguel, what is burnout for you all? Because it may look different, especially with us in general, right? Or black men, or so when you all think Alfonso and everybody, what this about us? What's burnout? What does that look like?
All right, I'll jump on out there, y'all. Yeah,
Yeah, I know everybody's kind of like, am I burnout now? It's like that's what everybody thinking, like,
look,
yeah.
look. While I'm talking about it, somebody look it up.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I know Miguel, the
Somebody
doctor
look up the
student. Let's go,
definition of
Miguel.
burnout.
Yes,
Google's your
sir.
friend.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody, what's burnout, everybody? Yes, sir. What you got, Mr. Jones, starting?
Yeah, so I'll speak from the standpoint of someone who was actually brought into the area of work that I'm in now, trauma and resilience work, as a result of finding myself in a state of burnout. And for me, it looked like um, difficulty focusing, great reduction in my interest even in my work, because as a therapist, I was always just invigorated by the work, so excited about it. But to start to lose my excitement for it was concerning. To even start to feel some degree of anxiety about going into work, even though I was good at it. Let me say, I felt like I was good at it, but now looking back, I can say, oh, I was losing some focus. My clients were not really getting the Victor Jones of 5 or 10 years ago. So that was difficult to acknowledge. But I know that burnout is real, and I'm really curious about how prevalent the phenomenon is for mental health professionals in other countries, because I do really believe that the social environment in America is very different from the social environment in other places. We have a very interesting racial dynamic where we have people that are conditioned to literally fight against each other, even though we're claiming to have the same citizenry, we're claiming even to worship the same God, but we have an incredible amount of struggle and angst against each other. And that weighs on us. I think that is showing up over the last several years at a accelerating rate politically, in our neighborhoods. So the work that I have found and that I do with the nervous system, the connection of the neurosomatic nervous system, work that has been introduced by Bessel van der Kolk and Bruce Perry and numerous other pioneers in this work. I don't know if I want to say pioneers, because Jonathan will tell you, I believe that ancient Egyptians and Black people were doing stuff long before the rest of the world. I think we have a resurgence of the connection of the brain and the body. I think the disconnection of the brain and the body is a European convention, but I think our people understood far more about the brain and the body than even the present day scientists do. So anyway, as far as healing ourselves, the neurosomatic work, the sensitivity to what's going on in our bodies, making time and space to notice what's happening with us in the early stages so that we're not uh, caught off guard and really devastated later in our in the development of discomfort and illness. That's really important. So that's I, burnout is real, but I also believe that burnout can be managed, or the risk of burnout can be mitigated with much healthier living and ways of understanding ourselves. But that's something that we'll have to be intentional about getting back to. And we'll have to do that as Black people. Nobody's going to do it for us. So that's what I'm thinking. And I think Miguel has an actual definition of burnout. So we'll see how close I am.
Go for it, Miguel. You got it.
That was excellent. So the first definition, when you pull it up in the dictionary, it says a fire that is totally destructive of something. And I thought that was important because although we know we're not talking about a literal fire, but if the aim is to be totally destructive of something, what are we doing to ourselves when we're in these work environments that cause burnout? More specific to what we're talking about, burnout is fatigue, frustration, or apathy resulting from prolonged stress, overwork, or intense activity. This made me think of, I'm going to tell a quick story about burnout and mental fatigue. Therapists need therapists. So I was seeing someone who is a mental health professional, and this person, Black man, this person needed a break from work and went to their primary care physician and was just in a state of mental exhaustion, burnout, all of the things that we're talking about. And the initial appointment was not with their usual provider. It was with another person in the practice, which makes a difference because someone knowing your history versus not knowing your history. So this person advocated for what he needed, for what he felt he needed, and that physician said to him, well, why don't we explore medication? That person knew enough to challenge the physician and say, well, interestingly enough, and at the time they did not know he was a mental health professional, your medical assistant did the GAD-7, and I know that I scored, I know what my score is on that, and I know that that was indicative of minimal anxiety. What are you wanting to treat with medication when all I asked for was a week off of work? So although in a state of mental exhaustion, this man had the ability to advocate and educate and say, I'm a mental health provider. So the assessment that your medical assistant, kind of casually gave me did not, there was another assessment too in there. I think it was a PHQ-9. I may be saying that wrong. The health questionnaire. Yeah, PHQ-9. So none of this was indicative of depression or anxiety, but yet you want to explore medication as opposed to, because what the provider told him was, well, we don't typically put people out of work. They agreed that he was experiencing some type of mental exhaustion. He's advocating for time off of work. And the physician says to him something to the effect of, well, what's going to be different in a week, even if I give you a week off? His response was, I'm not sure, but I'm telling you the work that I do can be heavy, being in this field of mental health and social services and the things and the vicarious trauma that I deal with on a daily basis. I just need a break. So this was an example of someone experiencing burnout, asking for what they needed, and Black pain not being seen. A Black man not being heard to the point where he's in tears in this medical practice, advocating for what it is that he needs. So how do we move forward from this? I think boundaries in the work, I am good. Anybody that knows me in my inner circle knows that Miguel will leave a job if it is causing mental strain, mental stress. I'm gonna terminate properly. I'm gonna give notice. But if it is not the right fit, Miguel will leave. The beauty about social work is, and I remember a professor early on saying, the average time for a social worker on a job is 18 months, and we're a field that does not look down upon constant changing of positions. We can be in so many environments, and I think that can help prevent burnout, because if I'm in a school and I don't like being in a school, I can go into a hospital. If I don't like being in a hospital, I can go into policy. I can go into, we have the micro, macro, meso, all of these types of social work that we can be in. We have a lot of options. Whereas some of the other disciplines that we partner with, right, if you studied school counseling, you're probably going to have to work in some capacity in a school. Maybe difficult for you to go and try to do some type of counseling in a hospital when that's not what your degree is in. The beauty of social work and what I enjoy about it is the options that it gives us. So working through burnout, I think that we have to do better as a profession with boundaries and not be that disciplined on these interdisciplinary teams, taking everything that everyone wants to dump on us, right? You have the doctors, the nurses, or whatever field that you're in. If you're in education, you got the school psychologist and the social worker can do it. You got the teacher saying the social worker can do it. Crisis coming along, the social worker got to leave the office to go to the classroom to quote unquote save the day. We have to push back on these other disciplines and know and understand what our lanes are in especially when we're in these host environments. Our field isn't always valued when we're in these host environments until they cannot produce the outcomes that we can. I know in medical social work, I work on a hospice team. The minute a patient starts crying or a family member starts crying, it's, oh, go get the social worker. The minute that paperwork needs to be done, insurance and all of that kind of stuff, we have no idea. I went to nursing school. I don't know nothing about how to apply for Medicaid, Medicare. Don't even know how to spell it sometimes, but they go get the social worker. So and I've pushed back on some of these disciplines, pushed back, but try to partner with them. It doesn't always have to be contentious. And when you create that team, I think that does lend itself to preventing burnout if you feel that you are a part of that team and you all can lean on each other for, the things that you all need.
Miguel eloquently said, Miguel. You definitely said a lot. Definitely appreciate that too. And since we're doing research, I know I pulled it up too about this AI overview, but it say that the average time to recover burnout can vary and be from few weeks to several years. Wow.
Yeah.
According to the severity. So
Or
like
you-
Mr. Jones was saying, Miguel saying, how many of us need years? But like we said, American culture, you don't want to give a day. Yeah, that's tough.
or you can be burnt out and be unaware of it.
Yep.
And be unaware of it. That's in not in my personal experience, because we'll get to this topic like a little bit later, but like this is where self-care comes in my opinion.
Boundaries, like Miguel said.
But I'll save it for that because I saw that Kishore was about to sit there and say something. So Kishore, go do next. Miguel, that was excellently said, by the way. Or Alfonso, whoever wants to go next.
So I had to learn this in just going to the field. My first job out of grad school. I think this is my second position. I had a supervisor tell me that this job is verbatim. This job is very high paced. You're in a residential setting, the co-occurring population. Our office is. We did have the luxury of our office being in another building. The office is right there with the residents, and it felt like an open door policy. So whenever residents want to come and just try to chat with us about something outside their scheduled appointment time, it felt like we had to respond to them. And my supervisor at the time told me, you don't have to. You can close the door if you need to. If you need to take a walk outside, you can do that. And he was speaking to the mental exhaustion of it, not the emotional, the mental exhaustion of just always being on call, even though like you're not on call. And there, and to reorient myself by not feeling that I am neglecting a client or patient because I need to take a space for myself. It will get done, just not now, because I need a moment. And but being okay with that narrative and to not feel like I'm neglecting this task or that task, and learning how to take those moments for myself. Emotional burnout. That's when I think that seeps into the self care. I know we say we'll get to that a little bit later, but burnout for me is feeling overwhelmed to the point where I am putting placing my head in my hands because I just can't think of what to do next, how to navigate, how to prioritize, and is being intentional about taking those breaks when needed.
Well said, Alfonso.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I started to type it, but I said I might as well, as you were ending, I might as well say it. So what that supervisor was teaching you was boundaries, like you said. So clients have an appointed time with you, sticking to that schedule. We know things come up and we have to be flexible as social workers, but that should not be a daily thing that we're allowing, the clients to come in or the residents to come in when it's not their appointed time. Also, letting that phone go to voicemail. My career started in crisis work. And the best thing that a supervisor taught me was, let it go to voicemail. By the time you call them back, the crisis is probably not a crisis anymore. They figured it out. You're empowering them to pause, because when we first get into the field, I don't know about y'all, but that was exciting for that phone to ring. I came from being a EMT. So I was driving ambulances. I was all about the crisis work because in the EMT world, is that pager goes off, you jump in the truck, you go. Now I'm like, oh, I don't really have to do the physical part of it anymore. But now that phone ring, and now I'm required to have interventions and this knowledge of not having to lift anyone because they've fallen or patch up anybody, control bleeding. So that was exciting for me. Now at this stage, I don't want to answer a phone. I don't want to do some of the things I did earlier in my career. You could not pay me enough to do them now. But said all of that to say, I agree with you, Alfonso, and letting that phone ring, literally and figuratively, even in our personal lives. I used to be terrified of putting my phone on Do Not Disturb because what if I miss something? Now it is the best thing. It is one of the best features that I have. Automatically goes on Do Not Disturb at a certain time. I have it programmed to do that. So I encourage you all to explore technology and have
Miguel,
that help you set the boundaries.
Miguel, you better than me. I just let it ring. I just let it ring. Or the type of people I type of people be like, yo, I'll give that to you later, yo. I'm about to take a nap. I got you. I got you.
Man.
Whatever works for you.
Right.
That's right. No, Miguel, that's super strong, Miguel. I mean, being transparent with brothers up here, I told Mr. Jones, I'm in that stage now. That's how it is with me, just about lack of sleep, hard to sleep, stress. I don't know how you, like when you're making yourself do self-care, that's a problem. Like my barber got on me last week, Jonathan 30 minutes late. Like me being like missing out on things that I value. I miss the thing, So like that's why I'm at 2 now. Like you said, Miguel, the boundaries and anxiety and missing key things in general. Also the irony of it, and I think I told Mr. Jones that growing financially, but then with blessings as burdens, like growing there, but then kind of I think about where I used to be without that and how I made time to shoot basketball and spend time with family and brothers and connect. And I'm like, so with me, it's like having to fight. When I fight, like Miguel said, put the boundaries in there. So like that's what it is for me, the stress the doctor visit where they're like, oh, your little pre-diabetes is kind of here, but you're not here. So the fear that I don't want to get in that level, which is also in burnout too, talks about health and hard. Yeah, that's what's been at for me too. And then like everybody said, this notion of staff, I don't know who did this at their agencies about trying to give us these nice words to burn you out more. Oh, hey, Jonathan, it's only 2 therapists left. Number one, that ain't our job. But, please, can we pass this to you? Even though I said emails 3 times, I can't do anybody else, but it's still sending those emails. Like, I'm a dance at your wedding. All this irony stuff that you ain't going to my wedding, number one. We're not close. We all know that it's fake, but it's a clinical director tactic to try to dress it up, so like, not respecting it too. So yeah, Miguel, you're right. I gotta do not disturb. Miguel, I need a technology training from you on how to do this iPhone right and set it up. Yeah, so yeah, that's where it's set for me too. So I just want to put it out there too. That's where I'm at currently and have to do better. Yeah, definitely.
All right, fellas, I'm back. I apologize. My family had came in, I checked in with them, see how the day was. Sorry if you saw like some happenings going on. I apologize about that. So I'm jumping back in and understanding where we at. We're talking about self-care, talking about boundaries. It worked.
We'll talk about burnout.
Burnout. Okay.
Yeah, burnout and then yeah.
Yeah. I think with burnout, there's something real that we definitely have to like really conceptualize as something that's real for ourselves. Stop trying to be the knight in shining armor, because not everybody's going to be saved. Not everybody wants to be saved. So, and understanding what does burnout look like for us. For me, I think with burnout, even though that I would say I'm probably maybe a 2 in terms of burnout. For me, it can manifest to like maybe like showing up late for work, counseling sessions with clients, say, oh, I just reschedule, not wanting to be engaged with clients. If you're sitting there listening to them, just start thinking about other things, you're zoning out, spacing out, and then you have to jump back in and figure out what were they saying. In meetings with staff, you check down, you don't want to be there. I know for me, like we have virtual treatment team meetings, so sometimes I'll turn that laptop up so that way the camera's looking at the ceiling versus at me. So I do that every once in a while, especially if I don't have a client to present. Um, and just feeling unmotivated, looking for a way out, looking for other avenues, looking for a different job. In some cases, maybe a different profession altogether. But that's when that self-care is very essential. The boundaries are very essential. Like with my job, working in the methadone clinic right now, like the good thing is that once we close and I'm done with my work for the day, I can leave. So I don't have to work my full 8 hours. I'm gone. So that means once I get done my last note, I'm out of there. Like, don't call me for nothing. I ain't coming back for nothing. Peace out to the next day. Like, my boss, she was like, hey, did you get the email? I'm like, no, because I don't check my email when I'm at home. I don't do no notes when I'm at home. Like, that's the boundaries that I set. Because, like, at the end of the day is, once I'm home, even if something goes on, there's nothing I can do about it to the next day. If she said, hey, just do the guest dosing, I can't do nothing about it the next day because their guest dosing clinic is closed. So guess what? They'll get it when I come in first thing in the morning. So, and we have to be steadfast in setting these boundaries, because if we give them an inch, they're gonna take them out. That's what a lot of jobs do. And so we have to maintain and be like, hey, yeah, this is what I'm not going to do. If it's outside of my job description, I'm not going to do it. If I'm a counselor, that means I don't need to be security. So, whatever they got going on, we'll call the cops. Let them come sort it out. Like we have to, be mindful of how we are utilizing the workplace.
That's excellent, Kishore. That's excellent. I took a lot of notes for what you were saying. That's excellent. Super with boundaries. Like Miguel's brain. That's excellent. Isaiah, anybody miss anything on that response?
that was just excellently really well said. I'm the same way. I was the same way, especially when I was working in group homes. I would tell them. I even went as far as to sit there and tell them. I was like, yeah, like when I leave, walk through that door, that version of me that you get of me stays at that door. One of the best things I got taught in grad school was don't bring work home with you. Even if like it may be on your mind, you may be doing things, but you're at home. And as he sort of said, there's like what else? There's not much that I can do about it. So I gotta sit there and think because like I think like this is gonna come up again, but balance. Because one of my topics is like balancing growth. Like how you maintain everything with balance. Because I feel like that's really important too. That we really got to sit there and do that. And I think that's one of the things that needs to happen in order to prevent and in some ways treat burnout. Just learn how to balance. Like I said it on Facebook the other day. There was like some random status of it wasn't a therapist. It was just some random friend from high school, and he said he was like basically, long story short, he was basically just like, how do you deal with like all the pressure of being an adult? Oh yeah, and I remember he said I wish that I was back to being 10 years old when I was a kid and had less responsibilities and everything like that. He was like, how do I deal with all this stuff now that like I'm an adult because this stuff is like it's outdated and played out. And all I commented was balance because honestly that's the key to a lot of it. It's just balance and figuring out what works for you. So that's a thing. And I think as we get older and as especially now in 2024 where everything's so chaotic these days, I think we forget about things like that. So balance is really the key to in my opinion to dealing with like burnout and also self-care. But like I said we'll get to that. Did everybody speak or did somebody else want to say something else?
So make sure too, everybody speak, everybody get their view out.
I believe so. I believe so. Which was great. Since I was talking about it real quick, we can get it out of the way. Self-care. We can get it out of the way. Self-care. Self-care, excuse me. Self-care, I think personally is I'll go first real quick and just say my piece. Self-care I think is um definition depends on you and what you do. For me, for example, self care for me is going to like the spa and going to the hot tub. I love hot tubs. I love sitting in hot tubs. I love chilling in hot tubs. I can sit there for hours. I meditate in the saunas. Like I do all that. Like I love all of that. I'll even say like video games, stuff like that. Like it depends on like what floats your boat. Even going and exploring recent things and finding purpose within self-care because within your self-care you can find your purpose, you can find or redefine your purpose in things like the reason why I say that is because I recently got back into football, not American football, soccer. I got recently into soccer because I was into it as a kid, and then literally like a week or two ago, I was like, "Wait, why did I stop watching soccer? Like, why did I stop getting into that?" So I literally bought FIFA for PS5, and then literally relearned all the positions, and now I play it with my nephews like during the weekend and stuff like that. And that little step right there, sat there and brought so much of because I'm currently studying to get my LSW, so it's like it brought so much pressure off me and like brought so much spark. Like that spark is back, because the burnout was getting there of studying every day in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, plus working and things like that. So yeah, self care is like really important. So that's the question. What is self care for you? How do you define self care?
I'll jump in. Self care for me is doing things you love unapologetically that refills your spirit. So, for I enjoy concerts. I enjoy live music venues. I enjoy being in community, and I don't need a companion to do some of these things that brings me joy. I welcome the companionship, but I'm gonna do this because this fulfills my spirit. I try. I am trying to be more intentional about taking at least a day a month off work. And I even got to the point where if I don't have the days, if I don't have the time to take off, I'm still gonna take it off anyway. I don't I care less about being paid because them funds will come back. Um, I plan. I got this idea from an aunt of mine, and during a vacation once every quarter. So every 3 months, you're doing some type of vacation. If not an extended vacation, it's like a short weekend getaway or something like that. And so building those things into my schedule unapologetically and navigate everything else around it, because this is what refills me. This is what I enjoy, and I'm gonna do it regardless of what's happening. Because I know as once I come back from these activities, I'll be able to perform a bit better in my day-to-day responsibilities.
Now, Alfonso loved it. I mean, I chime in behind you. I know, like Mr. Jones was saying, with us doing trauma training, there's a great trainer, mentor, I say Chandra, and she was saying something powerful on that. She was just talking about we have to look at self-care daily, right? Like not looking at it every, like I said, every 3 months, right? 2 months. That's good too. But I love how Miguel was saying it too. What I'm learning is, what matters to me, like Isaiah was saying, do it, right? And just doing that. And I got that too from another mentor, Mr. Jones' wife, and she's amazing. She was saying something about like if she get her nails done or doing something, put it on my appointment schedule. Like let's say I'm Miguel's client, and Miguel talking to me like, hey, I got an appointment. His appointment is his business. It might be getting a new suit. It might be going out to take a walk, but I have an appointment at a time. I can't do it. So for me, it's doing the same. Learning how to do that better though. So I still got to practice that too. Like being intentional every day for what Jonathan want to do. Like Keisha said, leave the work home, go home, watch Food Network, play video games, play with nephews. Like doing what I need for me and care for me first, and learn and make that mandatory, not optional. So my problem I've been doing a lot telling everybody is I've been making me too much optional. And that's what's hitting me versus mandatory. Like I gotta go home, time to go, stop, done. So yeah, I love it. So for me, that's self-care. Like I gotta get better with me as mandatory every day.
And I think we should know that self-care can be in small steps too. Not, I've worked with people that are just like, well, if I can't take the whole weekend off and go to the spa, then I can't engage in self-care. And I'm like, that's not true. Reading a chapter in your favorite book before bedtime, taking a walk at lunchtime, getting away from your desk. Those are smaller things throughout the day that count as self-care. Self-care for me, I know Isaiah was talking about balance. Self-care for me is that balance. I'm recently getting back into practicing yoga. I've been practicing yoga since 2018, but kind of got away from it. So getting back to that was important for me. So putting it on my schedule, scheduling that time for me, that no matter what's going on, like you said, if we're showing up to work and we have a 1 o'clock appointment with a client, we're going to absolutely, for that paycheck, show up to that 1 o'clock. Well, that paycheck for me in self-care, I often, share with clients and people in my personal life that you can't pour from an empty cup. So my paycheck is me pouring back into myself in that area of my life. Meditation. Recently have signed up for a meditation group. So my meditation group meets Wednesdays, 6 a.m. That's a little early for me. Especially, working from home and kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah, that's
But
definitely
I'm
early.
committed. I'm committed to it. So, sometimes the meditation ends up and I'm like, did I meditate or did I just fall asleep during that activity we were doing? But I'm learning how to, meditate and do it correctly and all of the things in between. So that has been rewarding for me because I've only started, we had to do the information session and the orientation. So the first class was on Wednesday, and this gentleman is offering it for free. Met him at the National Association of Black Social Workers conference. He's offering it for free. And Isaiah, I see you talking, but you're on mute.
Oh, don't
for you?
don't mind me. I was just going through my notes, but like, no, I was agreeing.
Okay. I want to make sure because I'm like, I don't know if you had something good that you were saying.
No.
I
was saying, I was just commenting to myself on what you were saying because I just recently got back into meditation too. And yes, 6 a.m. is definitely very early to be doing yoga and meditation.
It's
But
early,
yeah,
but you know what? I'm committed to it. And one of
which
the
is
things that
important.
the facilitator said, it'll get easier as you practice it more. And throughout the week, so he challenges us like it shouldn't just like we tell our clients in therapy, you can't just come to therapy and not do the work in between. So he challenges us, and my apologies, I gotta plug in before I lose y'all. We need to be practicing the meditation in between, and already has not even been a whole week. I find myself being able to meditate longer. I started with 10 minutes, and for the first time, I think it was yesterday or today, I spent 30 minutes doing it. And that shocked me. So, I had to find a position of comfort, then I'm checking the temperature because I'm like, all right, now it's cold in here. Now I'm fidgeting, just finding the different things in order to get to this version of self-care that I'm trying to attain. So scheduling it in, that has worked for me. Treat it just like that haircut, treat it just like that doctor's appointment, put it on a Google Calendar, making sure that I can keep those appointments. So hopefully that's a strategy that could work, for you all as well. But being intentional, I think one of the brothers on here, I think it was Jonathan, that said, being intentional about it. We have to be intentional about pouring into ourselves. The work that we do it's hard work. Even if we weren't doing the work, showing up every day as a Black man is hard work in itself. The target that we already have on us, and the trying daily to debunk these things that society put on us. So being able to pour into ourselves is important.
No, love it, Miguel. Thank you so much, Miguel. Love the vulnerability about it. Yeah, definitely love it. Mr. Jones, you have something to add to it? Or Alfonso, I don't know if you both did already with your self-care too?
I'm going to support what you're saying about yoga or any type of work that is, and I say that I don't mean work, but I mean any type of exercise or activity that we're doing to take care of our nervous system, take care of our bodies, to reconnect ourselves, to create a sense of um, safety in our nervous systems. And for a lot of people, yoga, meditation is fantastic. For some folks, it may be something more on the line of what's called mindfulness exercises, but it's that continue, and that's what helps me as well, is practicing some mindfulness activities every morning and even throughout my day. So as I'm working with, even with my clients, as I'm teaching them or guiding them through mindfulness exercises and doing those exercises with them, I'm also settling my own nervous system. So knowing that there are ways to uh, take care of myself and offer that healing space, helping my clients to find that healing nervous system space within themselves. That's kind of like a double whammy, right? That's kind of like a magnification of the effect for both of us or for a whole family. However many people are doing this at the same time, whether it's a family or a group setting or whatever, I still think that that is part of the self-care as well. So to be able to take care of myself as well as teach it to another client at the same time is that's been very much a big part of my own personal healing.
Thank you so much too, Mr. Jones. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that was dope. That was great.
Did everybody
Kishore,
respond, brother? Said sorry to interrupt.
I think no, you're fine. You're fine. I think Kishore, let's go. You got something? Do you have something to put in?
Yeah. My self-care, which is what's coming up next week, man. Me and the family, we're going on a cruise to the Bahamas.
Woo! Let's go.
I'm looking
Shout
forward
out
to that,
Bahamas.
man.
I was just in
Listen,
the Bahamas in December.
word, how was it?
Beautiful.
Nice, nice. Looking forward to it, man. You know, got my outfits out, got my fedora hat ready to go. You know, I might show a little chest while I'm out there. You know, but wife might be like, "Nah, you gotta put it away." But but you know, it's one of the things, man. Like what I used to do. I used to travel a lot, being a truck driver. Driving was my therapy, man. Like just put on some good music. Like not really having somewhere to go. It's just let me see where the road takes me at. See what I can discover. See what's new. You know, so doing that, video games, hitting the gym up. You know, one thing I found, the longer I'm in the gym working out, the better I feel. And plus reconnecting with guys in the gym and outside the gym. That the men's group I'm facilitating has been therapeutic for me because being that I've only been married for a little over a year, these are guys who've been married for a long time. So I'm also learning from them. So anything that's knowledgeable, empowering is a form of self-care for me. And last but not least, spending time with my family. You know, spending time with my wife and my daughter. You know, those are the moments that I really cherish the most. So those things that really replenish me, and also to just disconnect from work. Find a way to disconnect from work because they're so essential to making self-care effective. Disconnect from what stresses you out. When you're able to do that, bam, it's like put you in a better state of mind.
Mm.
Well put. Very well said. Very true.
Very true. Shout out to brothers on the cruises. I hear you, Isaiah, Alfonso, Keyshawn. I know Mr. Jones do that. That's handshake for him, no problem. Miguel,
Yeah.
So shout out to you all. Yes.
Yes,
Beautiful.
I'm actually going on another cruise this October too. I'm going on
Nice.
I'm going to how am I forgetting already? Hold on, where am I going? Oh yeah, Turkey. Turkey, because like I just finished like paying it off. Like Italy, Greece, Turkey. There you go.
Oh
And
man, I'm trying to go to Italy, man.
I've been to Italy. I've been to Italy. It'll be like my fourth time in Italy. But Greece is where
Oh,
I'm really excited for. I've
nice.
to go to Greece. I can't wait. Definitely
I,
gonna
I
try to.
told somebody I told somebody this. I told somebody like this is what I want to do in Italy. I want to go to a small village, a villa that's overlooking the sea, and sit at a cafe, drinking a nice lemonade and eating a croissant. Yes.
You can definitely do that.
Make
100%.
make it
Plenty of
happen.
That's
places.
what
I'm
I
on
want
that
to do.
too. Italy is on my bucket list.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
To take a trip. We should all take a trip. That'd be dope.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that
man,
would.
that'd be good.
You sound like the Equalizer, Denzel Washington in the Equalizer.
Be
You
be
said you
careful.
said you were not going to work. I don't know. You sound like you're going to.
He
Yeah,
stole that from me.
yeah.
He stole that from
Don't,
me.
yeah. Don't put that past him. Don't put that past him.
All right.
And Miguel, before we crazy, Isaiah, I'm gonna put that out there, like Miguel said, that would be great. Look at the future about us as Black brothers connecting and doing a trip together. That I'm gonna put that down. I'm gonna claim
Yeah,
that.
nah, we gotta do that. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Only unfortunate thing that would come for that, it'll feel like we'll get a lot of like attractive. We'll attractive a lot of attention. Everybody's gonna want to join,
Yeah.
maybe because we'll be having
Right.
so much fun. But like, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Nothing new.
JB need to let us collab on that rap album he about to make when he go to New York, yo.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna have to get Mr. Jones get on y'all. Miguel on the poetry too. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got you.
Collaboration.
Isaiah gonna probably be out there. He gonna see what's up together.
Yeah, it's good. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
Oh man.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Let's see. We got like two, maybe three more topics. But here, I'll put this one. Since we're talking about balance and self-care and stuff, the next thing on the thing is and I wanted to talk about this because this was important. Matter of fact, I'll combine it's three topics like put together, but I'll put it to you like this. How do you handle rejection? Rejection,
Mm.
dealing with imposter syndrome, And do you ever feel like you have to, like, for lack of a better term, dump yourself down to fit in with society as a black man?
Oh, I said those questions are enough to do a whole each
I
one.
know, but we can
Those are powerful. Those are
discuss
beautiful.
it.
So we need another segment for that because
Yeah, we do.
we got a limited time, honestly. Right.
we need another segment for that one.
So like,
Let's do that. Let's keep the
so-
segment. We'll keep honoring it, Isaiah. Definitely. Those are beautiful there. Rejection,
yeah.
imposter syndrome. What's the last one?
Do you feel like you gotta dumb yourself down to fit into society?
Lupe Fiasco. Got you.
He said Lupe. Oh, that was good.
Dumb it down.
All right, so then, okay, fine. We'll deal with the handling rejection and imposter syndrome first. How about that?
Oof. Mm.
Especially the imposter syndrome. I'll sit there and I'll say, because I think it goes hand in hand because with the rejection, because for me personally, the rejection came from the last time I took the LSW exam. I missed it by like 4 points, right? And like it hit like hard. And I remember having a conversation with my mom about it. My mother. By the way, she's gonna see this. Hi, mom. How are you?
Hey.
What's for dinner, mama?
Probably like oxtail. She makes great oxtail. My mom is Jamaican. My mom's from Jamaica. So but I remember saying to her, like, because she was like, just because you failed, it doesn't make you a failure, et cetera, et cetera. And I told her, like, you're right, it doesn't. It's just that, it hurts because, you study so much, you get so close, and then definitely it didn't work out. But I was like, I'm only a failure if I really quit and I don't go through it, right? However, the biggest thing is it more so deals with my imposter syndrome. As he kind of said to me, like, that's kind of not a real thing, and I had to ask like Google or I asked Google. I had to look it up on Google and tell her because he didn't even know that it was a thing. And then I came to find out in other conversations later on with other people that a lot of people do not know what imposter syndrome is because they'll ask me they'll describe imposter syndrome to me, but then I'll sit there and tell them like, you have imposter syndrome, and they'll look at me like I have 5 heads. This literally happened like 3 days ago with a conversation with a friend, and I explained to them what it is. Um, Whoever wants to sit there and look it up and look at what imposter syndrome is, because I'll give like a very not textbook, but a very general definition. It's just basically feeling like you don't belong in the space where you are because of like some tragedy or like a failure or et cetera, et cetera. So you feel like you're an imposter, hence the term imposter syndrome, you know? But I think the best way. What, say that? What?
No, sorry, brother. Sorry, bro. I was gonna say I had it for you. What you're saying, imposter syndrome is a feeling of self-doubt and inadequacy that can persist despite a person's accomplishments, experience, and education.
There you go. Great. Thank you, Brother Jonathan. That was great. But yes, imposter syndrome, and and I'll put in my answer for it real quick too. The best way to sit there and I felt to deal with it, the way that I dealt with it when it came up, is that I sat there and did some self-talk. I did some self-care, and I also did some self-talk, and I said, like, just because like you don't pass a thing doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure. You're not even a failure when you give up. It's just that, like, it's okay. It's going to happen because it's all not going to matter once you get that one yes. You can get 1,001 no's. When you get that one yes, this yes being passing the exam and getting the licensure, will sit there and make all those no's not matter nowhere near as much. And all of those past things are just lessons in order to make you stronger. Because without, as I say to, like, I've said to clients and other people, without failures and failing, we wouldn't be able to appreciate nor really grasp how great success is. They go hand in hand. But yeah, that's it. Who wants to jump in next?
I mean, I think you said it so eloquently yourself, man, about imposter syndrome. For me, using what you're saying about testing, yeah, for me it was the same way. Going through and doing the licensure exam and failing, and then you coming back to work and you're hearing and seeing everybody else pass. Now, to estimate things is you're seeing your white counterparts pass. And it's like, yeah, you start to have those self-doubts. But what my supervisor told me, she said, yeah, it's just a test. It doesn't define your work as a social worker. And so what I had to do was disassociate that and remind myself it's just an exam. I failed it and I'm still working, I'm still practicing. It doesn't define me as who I am as a professional. And so for me, that helps to address the imposter syndrome is finding value more so in who I am and what I can contribute versus what, an exam is telling me what I am or am not competent in. So, finding authenticity in my own value, in my own work. So that's what to me eliminates the imposter syndrome for me.
Well said.
So similarly, a lot of the anxiety about being a good social worker was linked to the exam, but also the fear of the thought of you're not connecting with these people well enough. You're not following this textbook definition of how you're supposed to do CBT, DBT, all these other modalities that we taught in school. From my last position, I was at a group practice, and that was one of the main topics that I wanted to address in supervision about this imposter syndrome. And it wasn't even to the point of addressing it. It was more about me needing reassurance in myself, my skill set, that I deserve to be here. And the irony in all that is the skills of connecting with others is what led me to this field in the first place. And so now that I'm in the field, why am I having these doubts about myself, about being able to connect and relate to others? Oh, it's been 3 months and we haven't made any progress yet. It's a journey. I had to tell myself that. I had to relearn that. Like some of these interventions is you're not always gonna follow the book as much as they want us to do that. And learning, I think someone brought this up earlier, but that relatability, that emphatic connection of just connect with the individual. The clinical work will come, but if the individual feels connected to you, you're doing what you're supposed to do at this moment in the setting. And so, like you said, disassociating my work from me having this exam, disassociating my work from me doing these 12 steps of CBT, the follow this modality to the T. We can and learn how to incorporate different aspects of that into my work and the way I work with individuals to prove to myself that I'm in this field for the right reason.
And you are in this field for the right reason, Alfonso. Like that was really dope. Brother
So
Jones?
let me ask. As I'm thinking about this, let me ask a question. As you consider some of the people that you know, who are there any people that you know who have passed the test,
Yes.
but in some ways you think, or you may know, or you see that you are more effective as a clinician, even though
Yes.
you haven't passed the test and they have. So I think that's something to consider. Is this about passing a test, or is this about being effective in helping people to achieve their goals or to move through and out of pain? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think of it like this, because if we're looking at, and Jonathan and I to talk about this thing, if you look at who is forming the test,
It's
the
European
mindset that the test writers are coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and if you go back a few generations,
Mm-hmm.
you may find that their history is very different from yours, and it may even be a history of enslavement. So I think there's an elephant in the room that we don't talk about when it comes to the development of our education and professional systems.
Very true.
So
Very true.
so quite often what we're living with is we have to operate with a dual consciousness in order to get anything done and to survive in this society. And one of the ways that I think about this is how, if I'm talking with a person who is from Mexico and they speak enough English so that we can communicate and understand each other, but quite often they're going to say something and they say, I'm sorry, my English is not, so good. And I've got to say, well, you know what? Your English is a whole lot better than my Spanish. And to really get real with it, you are able to function with two languages, and I'm working on functioning with one. You see what I'm saying? So even as we think about these tests, how effective are you as a clinician, as a therapist, again, compared to someone else who's writing the test? And now we're actually trying to take a test in someone else's language, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really well said.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
Yep.
And I'm going to say doing a damn good job.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
See what I'm saying? And could that person, if we were writing the test, could that person do as well on the test and on the culturally appropriate, if we're writing a test in a way that is culturally appropriate to what we know about society and what we know about people, could that person do as well on the test as we're doing?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So even as we're looking at imposter syndrome, maybe we're have to look at what exactly is the yardstick that we're measuring ourselves against. And so I think to be aware. Now, one of the things I remind myself of is that our people invented reading and writing and language and science and astrology and religion and music. And we were doing these things 4, 8, 12,000 years ago. Okay. So now I'm measuring myself by the standards of a group that's only been here a fraction of the time as my people. So who's the imposter?
Well,
Food for thought, man.
spitting.
Right. That's right. That's serious.
Yeah, that was serious. And to answer your question, yes, the answer to your question is yes. That's definitely happened. Especially when I was doing when I first got into the field and stuff like that. I met people who did pass the test and stuff like that. And then even now, I meet people who have passed the test and everything like that, but then they can't connect to clients like how I've been able to break through with clients and cases and people that I've been on and stuff like that. So, and for me personally, the other element that comes into it is that I've never been a good test taker. That was the other way I got out of the imposter syndrome. I reminded myself, wait, I've never been a good test taker. In the history of I did, like on my SATs, for example, I think I got 1100 throughout the whole entire time I took it. So I was just like, oh, wait, that's right. I've never been good at these type of tests. So it's not that I don't know the material. It's not that I'm not going to be a good social worker, therapist, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, this is just another hurdle to get over. And I will get over it,
Right. The dual consciousness hurdle. That's right.
Exactly. So it's just a matter of time, But yes, thank you. That was excellent. That was excellent. Who's next?
I go ahead and add to it with rejection. I love it with business. Like you said, Isaiah, I'm embracing the fact that we all know the more we're doing business, rejection is a part of business. It's a part of, getting that and reshifting and bobbing and weaving and coming back with another approach. Like on that part, I embrace it. I love it as I'm learning business and growing in that. Imposter syndrome, I would start with answers for everybody in our community watching us, even with the brothers and all of us up here. Mr. Jones and I talk about this a lot. for me, I realized that several things. So start with answers. Like, we got to be with people that celebrate us, really celebrate us. We have to be with people that support and don't minimize us. Like Miguel being a doctorate student, like talking about his high school journey. He's a doctorate student now. Like we have to be people don't minimize us and hang around us and limit us. And that goes back to what Mr. Jones said. I'm gonna be honest too. When I left state and came back to Wilson on this same subject, I felt like a failure because what I feel that a lot of us deal with, like Mr. Jones said on imposter syndrome, Isaiah and everybody, we don't want to come back to people that limit us. So I think part of it is like you come with people, I remember you from high school, or I remember this, or people that mindset's not where we are from college. So it's like the courage to get back and know you got to embrace people that's dealing with imposter syndrome themselves, or they minimize themselves, and like the energy you don't want to waste. So I'd rather go to Seattle or California, start over than deal with that. But unresolved trauma too. I said with me. So with me, with my family, I feel like that all the time, right? Like, so for example, telling everybody, my sister does that. My younger sister, Jonathan went NC State, or Jonathan Smart, or this. No, Jonathan had to work his butt off. Jonathan had to spend the night at DHL library a lot. Jonathan had to really do them hours with professors. But you have people in your family, right? Like all of us see that usually minimize us so much. Oh, my brother been to Africa twice. Or Jonathan had applied. Jonathan had to get accepted. She don't see all of that. So it's like you really deal with, and it got to the point with my mother that she would like bury my success. So it's like, what I mean is like, put my trophies in a drawer, and I had to argue with her, like, why is my trophies in a drawer? Right? So like, so I think part of it is like when you deal with people that themselves are not happy, which mainly be our family sometimes because they don't understand our journey, it makes it hard because you always proving yourself as a black man, proving yourself every day. And then with them, it's like you proving a journey that you prove, like with me, it's a battle I'm never gonna win. Like my mother mindset is not mine, but but it never gets proven, right? So I think that's part of with the imposter syndrome. It's like we have to do the answers, and that's why this group is amazing. That's why I'm proud of everybody up here: Isaiah, Kishore, Alfonso, Miguel, Mr. Jones, because you can talk without people saying, "Oh, Jonathan, you bragging. Oh, Jonathan, you think you bigger. You think you better." Like, no, I'm just celebrating what I'm doing. So, like the New York opportunity, that's gonna be beautiful. Like, and it's like not talking about it. So imposter syndrome is real. It's something that we have to get ourselves in environments of supportive people, and not around minimizing people. That's critical.
Well said, Jonathan. And you're right. Rejection is part of the business. Trust me, I know. Being like, being handling this whole multimedia thing. I've been J.O.D started in like what 2010, 2011. So I've been handling it for like a while, and like there's a bunch of ups and downs when it comes to this. And in terms of this podcast thing, I've been doing it since 2018. So trust me, like there's like a lot of like rejection and even imposter syndrome with that. But like you said, like you gotta I forgot which one of y'all said it, but like you belong here. Like you belong here. And then the way and not only do you belong here, as long as you just keep going. Because I've seen a lot of that, especially with the podcast game. I've seen a lot of people come in, say they want to do it, and in a minute like the money's not there, or the success is not there, or the accolades is not there, it's going. All the accolades that we've gotten specifically with this podcast, with JOD Live over time, just came not out of nowhere, but they've come. And it's never been a primary focus. And I think that's why they come. Because it's never been the primary focus of what getting it versus what people who will do these media things now are going into it for, especially with the podcasting thing. So, you got something to say? You were just agreeing? Yeah, it looks like you were just. Oh no, you were disagreeing. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to sit there and comment on the imposter syndrome and rejection phase before we move on? Miguel, I saw you unmuted.
Sure, yeah. Imposter syndrome. So when I started my program at Morgan, heavy on the imposter syndrome. I'm the only male in my program. We started with 24 in my cohort. We currently have 18. Now, the background on it is Morgan State University is the first HBCU to have a DSW program. We were told coming in, I think they reviewed over 60 applications and chose, they definitely made us feel like we were hand selected. And I was like, well, where the brothers at? Because I know I'm not going to be the only one going through this program with 23 women. One of the younger ones, I think I'm the third youngest in the cohort. There are two young ladies who are younger than myself, but well-accomplished people. I mean, I'm not sure if you all know who Melissa Haley is, but Melissa Haley is the president of the National Association of Black Social Workers. She's a part of my cohort. We have therapists, professors. We have just a great group of people. And I see a shout out, Jonathan. Thank you for that. Just a great group of people. So I'm there, week one, and I'm like, should I be here? Am I qualified to be here? Did they let me in by accident? Did they let me in because I was the only male that applied? I'm not currently fully licensed. I'm still working towards finishing up my hours towards my LC. So we have people that are, fully licensed. They've been fully licensed. So all of these reasons that I was giving myself, instead of what our profession tells us, right, to work from a strength-based perspective, I'm qualified and I'm here because they chose me to be here. Now having completed year one, going into year two, imposter syndrome isn't there. I'm kind of the little brother of the group. The women, they check in on me. My cohort can't keep in touch with all 18 of them every day, but a good amount of us speak. We got group me, we have, group chats and different things like that. But absolutely, several times in this profession that is dominated by white women have shown up to the table and felt like I should be grateful just to be at the table. But the point in my career where I'm at now is it's not only good enough to have a seat at the table, I need a seat at the table and I need a voice at the table as well. So when that imposter syndrome sets in, you all have to remind yourself, and I'm reminding myself as I'm reminding you all to look in the mirror and remind yourself that there's a reason and a purpose for you to be here. There are people that look like us that depend on us to do this work. Myself, I have a Black male therapist, because I don't want to go through the struggle of having to explain some of the nuances behind our culture and behind my upbringing to someone who does not look like me. And I know that while I can sit on the client side and say that, I know that there are people that come see me that say the same thing. Even the fact that I'm before you all today and can comfortably identify as a Black man, that's been a journey for me because I am Puerto Rican and Black. So I have clients sometimes that'll meet with me and ask me about my racial and ethnic background. Well, your name is Miguel, but are you Black? Are you, we see the curly hair. Do you speak Spanish? All of these different things. So understanding and often having to educate people on that my racial profile is Black, but Puerto Rican is actually an ethnicity and not a race. So my Blackness has been questioned in certain forums, and that's not comfortable because one of the parts of the question I heard you ask is about rejection. So growing up the way that I did, that certain forums didn't feel Black enough, and in certain forums didn't feel Puerto Rican enough. I didn't grow up on the island. My mother's first generation Puerto Rican here in the States. So go back to the island. My Spanish isn't perfect. I can speak it, but they can tell the difference. And out in Puerto Rico, you will get branded as what they call a New York Rican real quick. So that has been a challenge for me, and in forums where my Blackness has been challenged. I've questioned, am I qualified enough to say that I'm a Black male. Well, in a time in society where people can identify how they want, I look at, internally, I look at myself and I'm like, all right, well, if I meet with clients and they want to identify just jokingly in one of my classes, someone said, so if my client wants to identify as a tree, we gotta let them as a social worker, we gotta let them identify as a tree. So I'm not going that extreme. And years ago, we heard about what was the term? Transracial people wanted to identify as a race that they were. So when you put it in the extreme like that, I'm not identifying as something that I'm not. I'm not identifying as, it's not an inaccurate depiction of me being a Black male. But when you get to know me, you get to know, my background, then I open up and I share, some other things that's important to some clients. Some clients, see my Psychology Today profile and seek me out. I had a Mexican American male seek me out. And although I'm not Mexican, he felt comfortable because at least the language would be common. He was English speaking, but he's like, there's certain things in the culture that you're just gonna understand. And you come the closest to what I was looking for. So we gonna go with you. So that makes me feel good as a provider, as a therapist, to be able to serve people who are looking for a depiction of them, a reflection of themselves. And we know that we make up a small population of social workers doing the work. So when that imposter syndrome comes in, we have to remind ourselves that people seek us out because there are not a lot of us doing this work.
That's right, Miguel. You know what I thought about you were talking? Barack Obama. You remember that, the saying, Hill Harper, right? Question about Blackness all the time. That shows you deserve to be there. Remember that. We proud of you, brother. We are proud of, and like you said, make our own table. Don't get a table, make our own table.
Yep, always been my philosophy.
Absolutely.
Always been my philosophy. Make my own table, especially even in the cases when you get rejected from the table, because sometimes that happens too. You get rejected from the table, and you're like, "Fine, I want to make my own table," and you end up making a better table than them, and then they want to join your side. It's happened too.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, Joe,
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah, it's happened in both aspects of multimedia and with the psychology, with the mental health field. But so yeah, with that being said, Kishore, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you,
Oh,
Miguel.
no, I'm good. I'm good on it. I think y'all have said these things very eloquently. So, man, I'm good on that.
All right, that's perfectly fine. All right, cool. All right, so let's see. With that being said, you said we were going to move from the we're gonna do next time we'll do like do you Miguel, I don't think you were here. I also asked, do you feel like you have to dumb yourself down to fit in society? And everybody said that we were going to get, well, that's a whole other topic. We'll move that to like another time we do it. But yeah, that was one thing that I said too. So last and not least, right? I also had code switching in here, right? Code switching and my code switching, and my thing that I wanted to ask about code switching is, do you ever feel pressure to code switch?
And that's one of them to save too, Isaiah. I'm gonna write that down. That's gonna
You
come
say
back
that?
part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. We'll say that. We'll say that for part two. We'll say that for
Yeah,
part
yeah.
two. I'll put that.
I feel like that can go along with the don't be
Super
a
question.
I'm just glad that there's gonna be a part two. So we can definitely put that
We gotta do it.
part
Gotta
two.
do it.
We can definitely do a part two. But yeah, so okay, so with that being said, my last topic for the night is just growth. Is growth. Is growth. How do you feel what's the best way to, in your opinion, to grow not only ourselves but as Black men and our profession and field, in your opinion?
Supporting each other, support,
There you go.
uplifting each other. Oftentimes, that crab in a barrel mentality of I can't put my brother on because he might try to do it better than me. And I tend to operate completely different. Whether it be on a job, I want to train everybody to know my job so that when I want to leave that job, I can leave and be at peace because 10 of y'all know how to do my job. So it doesn't stunt my growth when I'm ready to leave that job. But I don't think that we always have that mentality when we're talking about sharing resources and sharing, knowledge. And I think we have to do a better job with that. A lot of us, if not all of us, are part of the Facebook group, I believe, the Black Men in Social Work, which is how, some of these conversations became ignited. And you have a spectrum of men. I remember, years ago, I think I joined that group. There were maybe 400 or 500 guys on there. There's about 1,500 guys on there. And I, kind of check in and check out of the group from time to time. But a lot of different, personalities and opinions and all of that is great. But is that a group? And I'm saying that, I don't know. I've never reached out to anyone on there for support. But my hope is that that is a group that you can reach out to, for support. If it's, hey, I need a guest on my podcast, or hey, I need you to take this survey for my research. I'm hoping that, how that group brought this group together, that is a group that can cultivate that, and that we can continue to create those spaces for Black men, doing this work.
Yes, sir.
Very, very, very well said. And to answer a little bit of your question, that's actually how this happened. That's actually how this happened. That's actually how this happened. That's one of the ways that this came together through that Facebook group, and also through Jonathan, me and Jonathan. Actually, I think it was what, my first or second time I was in here. I joined this group. I said he said I said that I do a podcast, and Jonathan's like, we need to do that. And I remember saying to him in private, I was like, don't tell me that, because I'm one of those people that, like, I will sit there and show up and like be like, yo, we're doing this and everything like that. And thank God and everything else that he was with it, and he stood on business, and here we are. That's how this was born. So yes, supporting each other. I 100% agree, Miguel. Supporting each other 100% in terms of growth in the field and stuff. I same way. I just put he's not here, but there was somebody else who was here earlier.
He
Right?
was.
And
Yes, he
everything like that.
was.
I helped him out. I recently helped him out with a position and certain things within the field
Novon.
and stuff. Yeah. That's my guy. Helped him with some career advice and stuff like that. So like it's each one teach one. That's how we build. I think in terms of the percentage of people, I think the last time I looked at it was either 2 or 4% of black males is the percentage, is the total percentage of the field as a representation around
That's
that.
research. Yes, it
So
is.
so a very small fraction, but such, like I said before, such an impactful fraction. And so anything that I can do to help to make that growth there, and growth within yourself, is just knowing and taking it one day at a time and allowing yourself to grow and have the space, because I feel as black men, we don't get a lot of space to do that, right? Whether it be in society, or whether it be from like family, or whether intermediate, immediate, not intermediate, immediate, like family, or et cetera. We don't get the space to have the growth for itself, and even as ourselves, because we're so, especially Miguel, you could definitely attest to this, being from like the Northeast, we're always moving. We're always on the go. We're always sitting there and doing stuff. And I went one of my first trips to Italy. I'll tell a quick story. One of my first times I was in Italy, I went and sat down next to this old Italian man in some random village in somewhere in Italy, and he sat there and he's like, "You're American," and I was like, "What was your first clue?" Right? And he sat there and he said to me, he was like, one thing about the Americans that I wish that y'all could learn. He said, "What?" I said, "What?" He said, "Look around you. We take things slow out here. We enjoy life out here. We sip our wine, we relax, we take it slow. Learn to take things slow." I was about 27 at the time. No, I was 26. 26 at the time. And he was like, I told him how old I was, and he said, "Make sure that you take life slow. No matter how fast it's going, always take some time to be able to sit there and enjoy, because you never know what could happen tomorrow. And ever since like I internalized that and applied it, it's allowed me to like just blossom and grow. So that's what I think, and I applied it also to the field too, because that's important too, especially when we are dealing with, because especially because I forgot who said it, but we deal with so much heaviness and so much pressure from clients, from colleagues, and even internally, that I feel like it's even more important, more so. No offense to the rest of our colleagues of other races and stuff, but because I'm sure that they feel the pressure too. But especially as Black men, with being the percentage and the pressure that comes with us, that we have to learn to just allow ourselves to grow and keep on keeping on. So
Yes, sir.
with that being said, who's next?
That's beautiful how you put it too. I know
Thank
Alfonso
you.
going and Keyshawn and then Mr. John, just chime in too. Feeling Miguel and Isaiah. I mean, everybody know laughing. I'm gonna say that up front. 'Cause I think I told Miguel them that too, and Keyshawn too. I appreciate him, Mr. Jones and Alfonso. I didn't want to start a group, right? A little bit because not in a bad way, but it was more knowing that you got to be committed, right? Like we all are so busy and being committed but trusting the process and seeing amazing brothers like seriously Miguel and Alfonso all the time up here doing the wings and chilling and the menu and Keyshawn and Mr. Jones and you Isaiah. That's what been my spark. Like wow, just like we need it, and then talking with everybody about why this important and seeing great brothers start how we keep it going. I feel like Miguel was saying, I totally agree. We have to stop being haters of ourselves. We got to me, making it spiritual is ironic to me, right? Like, no matter what you believe, like, we hear God is abundant and everything is for us, but then we still act like that's not true. You still act like I can't give Miguel something because I'm scared. That's like contradicting my spiritual beliefs, right? But growth too is being open-minded. Like when I'm up here, I take notes. Like every time I take notes up here, I'm listening to everybody up here, and I'm always hearing what Miguel's saying, Alfonso, Mr. Jones, Keyshawn, about what we need, what can we do in this group. And I feel like that's how we grow. We have to stay open-minded. We got to study things. We got to be adapting. We got to stay open-minded, attend different things, keep learning, keep listening, and be humble enough to learn and listen. Be humble enough to say, my bad, I'm wrong. And let me learn from this. And so yeah, we gotta keep egoless and stay open-minded. That's how I take it. But on to you, yes, sir. Mr. Jones or Alfonso or Keyshawn.
Okay, well, I don't mind. I think one of the things we have to do, and I admire what you guys are saying, because y'all might not know it, but I'm the oldest person online tonight. Um, but I come from a generation where professionally the ethos was to, as you were talking about, Miguel, the ethos was to make yourself valuable by not letting people know how to do things that you do. So to kind of make yourself that quote unquote unicorn. And so the idea was that that would be part of job security. And and I am talking about the healthcare field. So to consider how, in some ways, counterintuitive that is. However, again, in an American dynamic, in which control is dependent on divide and conquer, keeping people in a state of uh, being disconnected from each other. The men cannot relate to the women. The races can't relate to each other. The professions can't relate to each other. And then also to consider even the economic structure of this country, which was dependent on keeping African people, because we weren't African American then, we were African. We weren't, there's not even the pretense of being citizens, right? So to keep us so busy, so exhausted that we could not collaborate, and it was actually even against the law for us to come together. We've got 5 Black males online at this point. We at one point we had 8 or more, and that was the time. It wasn't too long ago that was illegal for us to be talking without someone overseeing us and making sure that we weren't talking about freedom and liberation and health and prosperity for ourselves. So I think being intentional about connecting with each other, staying connected with each other, even when there is a difficulty, even when there is a feeling that I've been neglected or hurt or whatever. We have to look at each other as being indispensable, and we got to go knocking on that door when that brother don't show up, and we got to push through that. When we feel kind of uneasy about each other, we still got to push through. We got to make that effort because we need each other just that desperately. And then if we are going to live out our spirituality means that we're all part of the one and the same anyway. So however we look at that, we've got to push through that. So with Isaiah, what you saying that this person in Italy said, you got to slow down. That's rebellion, man, because when you slow down and you allow yourself to connect with your own body, with your own nervous system, and with the people around you, and with your history, with your accomplishments, with your family, with us, oh man, we're unstoppable. We're unstoppable. So the society is set up to always have you wonder, well, why that crazy joker say that crazy thing? Why they doing that? Why they talking all of this stuff? That keeps you on edge so that you're less likely to connect. So we have to be really intentional about staying connected with each other, even if that means, hey, you got to come and knock on my door and say, hey, Vic, I ain't seen you in a while, man. Come on out the house. Oh, man, I'm all right. I'm all right. I don't need anything. All right, either you come out or I'm coming in. I'm talk to your wife. Or I'm going to talk to your dog. But we're going to drag you out in this yard, and we're going to make sure that you connected again, because we just cannot afford to throw each other away. We cannot afford that. And the world needs us not to throw each other away. It's not just that Black people are going to lose. The whole world is going to lose if we don't come together and stay together.
Thank you. So true. Thank you, sir. Definitely so true. Brother
Yes,
Alfonso. Brother Alfonso and Keisha, you have anything, Brother Alfonso? Def, I know you do.
I think y'all put it so eloquently. We got to get away from this mindset that we can't outshine. We can't let the next brother outshine us. Like we all need each other, and the more we see how we can work together instead of dividing and conquer, I think we get to a better place as a society. I'm a firm believer, like just an example of just like vulnerability spaces among Black men. You can't have enough of those, but each of these operates in a different context, and some of it might be bearing ideas of how one person runs their vulnerability space and adopt it to their own individual way. But it's that exchange of information, exchange of ideas to all achieve the same purpose, uplifting our fellow brother, uplift the next man. And it's coming to it with an open mind. Like, I'm not here to take anything away from you. I'm not here to put your business, put you out of business. If anything, I'm here to enhance not only your business, but also do something similar so that we can reach more people.
Very well said. Yeah, very, very true.
Very well said. And in the chat, shout out Alfonso already. Innocent Horizons is coming, LLC. So we shouting and calling you out. Like Miguel said. And I'm gonna say it for Miguel because he's a doctor student. I agree. Jane Addams not found a social word. We'll talk about that later.
That'll be a part 2 as well.
Part 2. That's gonna be a part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever we need. Jane Addams is not a founder.
I'm writing it down. I got you.
Yeah, you know, let's write it down. I know Mr. Jones got the history books too. Miguel doing a doctorate, so we're gonna take it for him. Keyshawn.
All right. I guess I'm bringing up the rear.
Good.
Man, and just listening to what everyone is saying, you know, there are a few words come to mind. First, community. The more we invest in one another, the bigger we build our own community, Black professionals. And so that right there means that, you know, we have to be placed apart, placed different than what the status quo in this field is. So yeah, you know, we got to keep connecting, keep building, keep networking. You know, any guys is not in here tonight or haven't been yet that you know, invite them out. Hey, Zoom, even if you're gonna stay for 10 minutes, let's connect, let's talk. And then the one of the good things about this profession is not based on competition. So yeah, if we have the mentality, we're here to help and not try to, you know, have this one product being better than this product. Because at the end of the day is the most important thing we do is we're helping people, we're changing lives. And being that we represent such a small portion of this field, there is ample opportunities for us to really grow and for us to get a piece of what's out there. So there is no reason that we should be in competition with one another. We build together, we grow together. You know, like if anything, we're building a network of resources that we can all benefit from for our clients. And also as well, this is both professionally and personally redefining our value. As men, we have been programmed to be valued by what we can contribute financially. But we also have to understand that we are much more than that. So redefining our value, more than just financially, but, you know, in wisdom and knowledge, you know, in time, in resources, material, all these different elements that we can contribute. And so once we get past that, hey, I'm more than just a provider, I'm a difference maker, that allows room for so much growth. And we also have to continue to be vulnerable with each other. That's one of the things that I encourage in my men's group. Be vulnerable. You may not agree with everything they're saying, but be respectful. You know, you can drop some knowledge that, you know, one person may be able to benefit from. Because, yeah, like we know who the gatekeepers are. You know, and as more we try to get into this profession, the more time goes on, the more these gatekeepers try to keep us limited. So as I was said earlier, we got to create our own tables. We can't just want to sit at the table of white people. We can't do that. We got to create our own tables. And so once we start making our own tables, yeah, like I said, they're gonna want to come sit with us. And I'm gonna be like, table's full. You had your chance. So this is an opportunity to not only, you know, create opportunities, but to create a legacy that redefines the history of Black men. That's what we're here to do. And yeah, not a lot of people, not a lot of Black men are into this profession because it's not lucrative. You know, like if you get in to make money, you know, you're gonna be disappointed. So, you know, for those who are coming up, who are in college, if we're speaking to them, like, you know, helping them to understand where their value is versus chasing the bag or chasing legacy.
Mm.
You know, it's like if you were to die today, what will people say about you at your funeral? What would people say about you in social circles? What would you want your legacy to look like? Oh, he was out here getting money, or damn, he actually helped me change my life. And you know, for me being a believer in God, He's gonna provide everything I need. You know, because the money talks and always says goodbye. So I can't put too much value in something that's gonna always try to leave my pocket, and it's only a tool. It's not a way of life. It's just a tool. So I encourage you, brothers, you know, to be open, to be in community, to grow, to be vulnerable, to be transparent, and to define what your legacy is going to be.
Oh,
Wow.
thank you.
That
Yeah,
was
exactly.
that was deep, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, it was, Brother Keisha. The only thing I'm gonna add to it, empowering us, is write that down, Isaiah. We'll table that subject. We can't have both. Entrepreneur wise, we can't have both. That's a whole nother. So I think we taught that so much too that we have to. When I was at ECU, I remember Dr. Mary Jackson. I told Mr. Jones about it. She's a Black woman, like Miguel said, amazing attorney background, this, that. And she said, before everybody get that speech about we poor social workers, I'm a Black female, Black social capitalist. So, I mean, but she said it jokingly, but we can have. So that's a conversation we want to do too. Have the love, and it's okay to have as well without letting it have us. But that'll be a subject too. That'd be a great one too.
Yeah, that can definitely be a subject. I remember one of the first things one of the first classes that I have with facilitating groups, Professor Davis, she was a Black woman. She said, it still makes me laugh, but she was like, I don't know who said social workers are broke, but we are not broke. She said these are Jimmy Choos I got on and everything like that. And she's like, these are red bottom Jimmy Choos, and I just remember just laughing and just laughing and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you know, but I also had a mentor once say to me like the same thing. He said, if you get into this field, he said, you're not going to get rich. He said, but I've been able to put kids through college and I've been able to have pensions and stuff like this. But my answer to him, response to him was like, I'm not in this for this money. I just want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before I went into grad school and stuff. And like, I remember he like smiled and everything like that. Shout out to John. You know,
That's right. And like Miguel said, being there, support each other, that's a beautiful thing. So support Isaiah Podcast, support what Alfonso doing, Jones, right? Support each other. That's what we got to be doing. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Isaiah, you have anything else on it?
Let's see. Going down the thing. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the last thing for the podcast is, what would you like to say as a Black male therapist to the world? Because like I said, this will be on YouTube, and the world has access to YouTube, especially social media. So what would you like to say to everybody?
Let's start in different order. Let's go to Dr. Miguel Williams, sir. Let's put the doctor out there.
Speak it into existence. I got two more years, one more year of coursework, and then that last year's research. But what would I like to say? Is this, in general, is it specific to what we've been discussing?
Just
I got a lot to
just in
say.
general, as a Black male therapist, what do you want to say to like the world,
As a Black male therapist, I'd like to say I would like for people, when you look in the mirror, to see your greatness and to show up for yourself daily, whether that be, through self-care, whether that be through some of the topics we talked about today. But I think sometimes we forget our own greatness. So looking in the mirror and just reminding yourself, if that's from a place of gratitude, then do that. Because I believe that you have everything in you. You're equipped with everything in you to be able to make your impact on this world.
That was great. That was great. Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Brother Miguel. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Kilo, let's go, Keyshawn. What you got? What's up, sir? Thank you.
Oh man, let's see here. Know your identity and know your truth, and don't be afraid to stand in it. Society may try to put you in a box, but you can live outside that box. You can exist outside that box. So, continue to discover yourself, continue to grow, continue to heal, because life, takes you on a route with many different curves and many different turns. Stay grounded and maintain your sense of integrity.
Brother Alfonso, one of the wise ones.
Similar to Keyshawn, but I'm gonna put it a different way. Know yourself, know your worth. Society will often try to label you and like put you in a box, want you to ascribe to a certain status. You have every right to say, I'm interested in doing this way with this population, and I'll make some shake with that. And just go full throttle with it. The pieces will fall. Just begin. Just start. But know yourself, know your worth.
Nice.
Mr. Jones.
To Carter G. Woodson, who is known as father of Black history. The originator of Black History Month, which began as Black History Week, which began as a way of honoring our history, but it also began from a challenge that he received from a white educator who said, a prominent white educator who looked at him and said to his face that Black people do not have a history. In other words, Black people have never been significant, have not accomplished anything, have not done anything. And Carter G. Woodson set out to prove him wrong and studied us. And they also recognized that education can be weaponized to dismantle people. And that's what was happening to us. It's happened throughout the world to people in the Philippines and so forth. So my message is going to be, make sure you study the history of not only Black people, but anyone that you're working with. Study their history, know who they are, be interested in them, because we are reduced even today to sound bites, to snapshots, as if the present is all there is to a people. But everyone has a history. And if we go back far enough, we're going to find some wonderful things. We may find some pretty ugly things too. But especially regarding our people, we got to go back and see how wonderful we are, the things that we have accomplished going back tens of thousands of years. And that may sound strange to some people, and I've seen some people say, oh, well, we got a history. We did some things. I always marvel when I hear people say, America is the greatest society, the greatest country ever in history. I said, where you get that from? What's this little snapshot you're looking at, this blink of an eye that you're looking at? What are you comparing it to? But as long as we allow ourselves to be satisfied with somebody else's snapshot of us, we'll never become what we can become. We'll never accomplish what we can accomplish, and we'll be limited by someone else's vision of who we are. So, my message as a Black therapist is make sure you go back and you get your history. Make sure that you go back and you treat your history as sacred because it is. And it was a huge mistake to ever let anybody touch our history. We don't have to keep making that mistake. This is serious. This is life or death. This is life or death. We look at our political arena right now, and we're literally at the brink of no longer having even the hope of a democracy in this country. You think that's not a mental health issue? Think that's not a mental health issue? It is.
Yeah.
And the metrics are getting worse. The trends are getting worse for Black males, for Black females. This is a serious thing. There's nothing dismissive about this whole situation. So go back and get your history. If you're not doing it, commit to it and know the history of anybody that you're working with because that's important. I've always had clients that appreciate the fact that I'll go back and I acknowledge my ignorance about Native American or Filipino history or whatever, but I go back and I get it, and that creates a bridge that we can work with. So that's my message. Go back and get your history. If you ain't getting it, go get it.
Very well said.
Are you gonna go, Brother Isaiah, or be behind you? After you, sir. You gonna go first?
All right. My message to the world as a not only as a Black male, as a therapist, is that like we're here. We're here. Um, you, I often get in my day-to-day passings and everything like that, especially like it still makes me smile to this day, but telling people that like I'm a therapist and everything like that, and just the smile and relief or sometimes surprise and shock on people's faces, and then like comes the questions of what put you down this path, like what did you do to go there, and da 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 da. And so my message to the world is that we're here, we're listening, we're out here, and we're here to help. And as Brother Jones put it so eloquently, know the history. Go study the history. Know your path, walk your path. And also love yourself. Love yourself. And to my other future fellow brothers that are going down this path, because I know that they exist and I know that they're there. You are not alone. You are supported, and we're here. We're here for you. That also goes to everybody else in the field too. I don't want to make it seem like we're just like sitting there beating up the rest of the field too. It's just I also wanted to do this because there's such a that light gets shined on everywhere else. In our specific section of our area and field, it's not there. Like the light is not bright enough, in my opinion. So this is my way. This whole process and this whole episode in general is my way of sitting there and shining the light on our section in our field because it needed to be shined on. So that's my message to the world. We're here. We're here. All right.
Love it, Isaiah. Two stories from me for everybody, encouraging everybody, us included. Going to East Carolina, that's what I encouraged Miguel about, and all of us too. I remember I told Jones there it was out of 80 students, were only 2 Black males, and it was only one. It was 2 of us, and I was the only one, the older guy, I was the only one that talked about Black males and what young Black kids went through, and sat on the front. And sometimes at lunch, I sat by myself. And there was even one time, literally, I parked my car going from ECU, and I cried in my car. Just feeling culturally not heard, culturally not respected, culturally not appreciated. But like Miguel said, now when I see these amazing kids and these families that look for this hat and they look for what I'm bringing, and Mr. Jones told me it's encouraging. While we're talking, I also want to tell everybody you're not the only one. While we're talking, I got a chat. Rest in peace, Anthony Turk Barnes. I got a chat while we was talking now, and I played football with him in high school and just got shot in a drive-by and killed. And I just got the text from somebody from high school texting me. So it's like a burden on the heart, but remembering that we all go through grief, we all going through things, and like we're needed. So remember that you're not the only one going through, and we're here, and people support you. And also that don't limit yourself, as everybody said, be a trendsetter. There were times I walk, I put my hat down, fellas. I wouldn't even wear my hat. Sometimes I always want to dress up with suits, and I'd be playing soccer with slacks on. Like I'm hot out here, you know. But now staying true to myself, and we got to be trendsetters and stay true. So I just want to tell the audience that thanks for tuning in to us too, and you're not the only one. There's help out here. It's okay to get help. I have a therapist, David Peterson, Mr. Jones. I talked to. I appreciate that, and be a trendsetter. Keep being trendsetters, and just know you're not alone. Substance, mental health, whatever you're going through, you're not the only one. So don't have that false notion. It's okay to get help, and it's okay to connect and be vulnerable. So be unafraid to be vulnerable. That's my last piece. Be unafraid to be vulnerable.
My condolences for your news. Sorry to hear about that. Better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, all right. I think that's everybody, right? That's everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, with that being said, this has been JOD Live. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Once again, shout out to Anchor, shout out to Spotify for podcasters, shout out to Amazon Backstage, shout out to everybody that presses play. Thank you for everything. Thank you everybody on this panel for coming. This was great. This is a great turnout. We had excellent conversations, and even better, there's going to be a part two. So I will see y'all on the thing on the other side. And yes, of course, we will also follow and shout out. I will give everybody the opportunity to shout out their personal businesses too and opportunities. If you're going to look for this, this is going to be on the Jersey's Own Dynasty Instagram and YouTube. I'll be posting. My personal Instagram is Kizzy That Kid, KIZZYTHATKID. Like I said, I will also be posting this on the Jersey's Own Dynasty page. That's Jersey's Own OWN Dynasty. And also if you want to find this podcast to listen to the audio version, it's going to be just go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or even Amazon Music and search up JOD Live. You can either say shit as one word or put J.O.D Live. Either way, it should come up. I know it does. I searched it up myself. So, with that being said, anybody who wants to start out their personal Instagram or businesses or whatever, you're more than allowed to.
Let's see. I'll do a quick shout out for the gentleman. You can hit me at the Dope Fitted Therapist. That's my Instagram, the Dope Fitted Therapist. I'm also the founder of Unafraid to Be Gifted. That's utbg.tv. That is me standing out, being unafraid to be gifted and shine your light. Jonathan Bronson on Facebook. So Jonathan Bronson Facebook, the Dope Fitted Therapist on Instagram, and utbg.tv. So hit me on Unafraid to Be Gifted. Appreciate it.
I can take it next. So I am on Instagram, Miguel_L_Williams. LinkedIn, just my first and last name, Miguel Williams. I could be found on Psychology Today, being that we talked about how much that we're unicorns. If anyone is seeking mental health support, I am a licensed social worker in New Jersey. So feel free to Google and find me on Psychology Today. And I'd be more than happy to, do a 15-minute free consultation. And even if I'm not the right fit for you, can link you with some of my great colleagues. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Brother Miguel.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Shout outs?
Yeah, I go. Shout out to Epic, Circle of Hope. Just want to shout them out. Black men doing amazing things, the conversations. You can find me on Facebook, Kishore Boone. I do outpatient therapy, independent practice. Also, you catch me on Instagram, the Bugatti, one word, TheBoogotti.
All right. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I don't have anything but an email right now, but I might get Jonathan to help me out with Facebook or something like that between now and the next time we do something.
Yes, sir. We'll do it.
All right.
All right. Cool. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. I'll add you. Alfonso?
I want to shout out Black Man Foundation, B Man Foundation, BMEN Foundation on all platforms. We host a virtual support space every second Sunday, 5 to 7. So pull up, join, check us out.
All right. With that being said, everybody, this has been J.O.D. Live. It's Kizzy Kid, the Boss Don, signing out. Bye, everyone.